Let's welcome Inspector Alicia Piggott. She is in the hot seat this morning, madam. Police shooting in Mount St. George. And of course, prior to that, we had a shooting in Bethel. Investigation is ongoing on both of them. What is happening, Inspector Piggott, with these police shootings?
Good morning, Brother B. Good morning, Mr. Cox. Good morning, Tobago. Special good morning to Mr. Deryck Crooks, ardent fan on Facebook, and also to Cathy. Good morning to you. So, Brother B,
yes.
First we like to do, I always like to
good
do
news.
Good news
All
first.
right, okay, let's do that.
So, as it relates to the gentleman, Mr. Trim, who got shot in the Boku area last week, he who is stable condition, 3 persons were arrested. However, 2 were released, and 1 will be due to appear in court this morning for attempted murder. The police would have also done a lot of work in the Windward area, where over 300 marijuana trees were destroyed. There were several exercises as it relates to persons on outstanding warrants. And there are several persons who will be going to court today also for larceny and breakings. As it relates to yes, as you know, there was a police-involved shooting in the Mount St. George area. And I want persons to know and understand. Once a police-involved shooting occurred, whether the police is is at home in his house or on duty, a first division officer will investigate. When I say a first division officer, either a senior superintendent, a superintendent, or assistant superintendent. So at this time, Assistant Superintendent Job is the investigator. And with these police shootings, there is always the Police Complaints Authority who always intervene. So the police persons have a feeling that the police have things to hide. But because of all these situations, the police cannot hide anything. The police has to investigate their own, and if at the end of the investigation the police is culpable, then so be it. I listened to my senior superintendent on Saturday because we would have visited the home of the deceased family, himself, the ACP, and myself. And I listened to the police, the senior sup, and he reminded me that that in the public service, the police has the most persons waiting to go before the court, sometimes in prison, awaiting trial. So when a police does anything, there is always proper investigation that is being done.
Okay. We, the ordinary folk, can protect our homes and using moderate force. I want to talk about excessive force on the part of a trained officer with intruder, quote unquote, according to him, and found out that it was his next door neighbor. Excessive force officer, inspector, how can that be constrained from a trained man, a trained officer, in discharging that level of force? Clearly, it ended up fatal.
Well, Brother B, once you are a firearm holder and you think that your life or your family's life or your property is some danger, you can use your firearm. I cannot pronounce on what has happened. It's unfortunate on both sides. However, I mean, being as how it occurred is your neighbor and then the age, So at the end of the day, you, a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, have a firearm. That firearm you have is to be used if you are in danger, your family or your property. All right? And as I said, across the board, there is also another shooting which involved a firearm holder yesterday, right, where somebody went into the gentleman's premises and he fired a shot onto the person. The person got injured, and it's the same way we have to investigate. So at the end of the day, if you found, let us say, the civilian used excessive force, then sometimes the firearm is taken an investigation is done. Or if the person the investigation was done and the person who would have gone to his home had no right to be there because the gentleman's place was fenced, right? And you realize that that person is culpable, is wrong, that person will be charged. So these are what occur, right?
In terms of and just sticking with that same situation in Mount St. George, what would be considered, or at what point would you label someone an intruder? Coming in what seems to be in close proximity of your premises without your permission, or actually entering, or...
So if your place is fenced, the person may jump over the wall. Sometimes persons may try to open your door. All right? It depends. You may see somebody with a screwdriver trying to take off your lock. So it depends on the chair of an intruder. Sometimes they are the persons who would jump through your window. That is an intruder, right? So as I said, it depends on what happens at your home. If the person may come through a door, they may come through a window, they may jump your fence. You may be at home and you're hearing your door trying to be open, and you look out, you may see persons with masks, you may see persons on masks. It depends. But as you're saying, surrounding this issue, there will be proper investigation. Persons will be interviewed, families, persons in the area, and a file will be submitted. Usually the file will go to the DPP office, and at the end of the day, a pronouncement will be made. So the police has nothing to hide. And as I said, the PCA will also intervene, and they have their separate investigation. If they see anything that was also, the officer is culpable, they also send a file to the DPP and showing what they would have unearthed. So rest assured, proper investigation. And added to that, I understand that there was an attempted arson at the officer's home. That should be condemned. We do not want vigilante justice in this island. If you have information, if you have an issue, go to the police. Do not take matters into your own hands. You have a problem, go to the police. But don't go to the officer's home and try to set a fire to burn down his house. No. Wait and let us have this investigation done before we continue this sort of crazy and mad behavior.
Understood completely. Just one more. So the ordinary folk in your house or in your yard, and you may see someone, quote unquote, as an intruder. Naturally, you may, I don't know, you might get a broomstick or something, or you may call the police. In a situation like what occurred, shouldn't the police officer call for reinforcement if he did not have a licensed firearm? I'm on duty or not. Certain other measures could have been taken which ordinary folk would normally take. But the fact that he had a licensed firearm, or whether his official firearm, the impromptu reaction caused that death. How is that looked at?
So, Mr. Cox, you are asking me, because at first you asked if he couldn't have called the police. You are asking me to go into the mind of somebody else. I cannot go into the mind of the officer. He has his own mind. He has his own he was confronted with something, and he may use his actions of how he sees fit. Right? So, if someone, you as a homeowner, observe that somebody is in your home, you can pick up the phone and contact the police. And I'm sure he would have also called the police after, right? But if you are a firearm holder and you see that you can defend yourself before you call the police, that is up to you. I cannot go into the minds of persons who are FUL holders. All right? And remember, FUL holders are persons who have been trained. They don't just give you a firearm. Before you get the firearm, you have to go onto a range, once they say, listen, you can have a firearm after you went through the application, the police come to your home, make sure you have a safe, the police could check your background. After they do all that, and the commissioner says you can have a firearm, they will let you go and have training. Added to that, the firearm also goes to the forensic science center where there's ballistic testing. So if you use your firearm today and you shoot somebody and you didn't tell the police you did, and the police has information, they can seize your firearm and they can check your firearm as it relates to ballistic testing at the forensic. So there are several things that could happen. Right? But as I said, at the end of the day, a proper inquiry will be done and everything will be unearthed. And if the officer is culpable, then he will go before the court. If he is not, then that will be said.
Very good.
All right? But the police is not judge and juror. And I don't want persons that I said to go out there and have this foolish vigilante justice behavior. It should not happen.
Great. You said we can't go into the mind of any officer, but I'm asking you, in the police service, is there that police or persons or entity that is responsible for the mind of the police officer? Given that the job is a highly stressful one, an officer could come off duty and is very unstable in terms of what he'd been through. Let's say a very traumatic scenario he was confronted with, and he is going home with his firearm, and maybe he have some domestic issue with his wife, and then something trigger him to react. Now, the mind of the police officer is very, very important to ensure or to convince the public that, look, you can trust these minds because they carry a weapon and they can fire at will if their mind is not in the way it's supposed to be. Who is responsible for ensuring that officers have this place that they could go to speak to the psychiatrist maybe, or whoever is responsible for the mind?
So
because we cannot be convinced that an officer leaving the service, going home with a mind that is not supposed to be where it's supposed to be, and then...
So, Brother B, in the police service is a social worker where you can, and all social workers, where you can go to and have conversations. If, for some reason, I as a senior officer also see that one of my charges is having issues, I can pick up the phone and call the social worker and inform her, listen, I have an officer, I realize that he may have an anger problem, or I realize that he may have an issue, and there will be interventions. The officer himself, of his own free will, can go. The social worker has a place where you go, where the police will go. So they have their offices.
All right.
Right? Likewise, since this situation occurred with the family of Mr. Sandy, there is also the witness and support. Witness, victim, and support. And they have also intervened and been counseling the family.
Very good.
All right?
Right. One more with the mind of the officer, because...
and if the officer see fit, Brother B, otherwise, to go elsewhere and to speak to anyone, the officer is also free to do so. Right. There is also peer counseling in the police service. Okay. All right? So don't feel that the police is without counsel.
All right. No, I'm trying to, because you see, the mind is very important. And why this is important for us to talk about is it may not be spoken to at all.
Okay.
Now, so if an officer is aggrieved for some reason, a personal matter, and he speaks to his senior officer and tells him in confidence, and when he goes to the canteen, them fellas throwing talk at him and saying, and throwing talk, that hurts him even more. He may not engage in having a drink with them fellas, but walk out of the canteen and go in his own space and deal with his own grief, and nobody took him seriously. Now, when a complaint comes in, or let's say you, the senior officer, with your charge, and you realize Peter, not something with Peter, but Peter, what's going on? And Peter confidently tell you, look, I'm going through this, and I really need some time off, and so on. What happens in that regard? What does the senior, or what is duty bound for the senior officer to do when he recognizes one of his charges is not have some cognition issues? What do you do in
But
that?
as I just said, you as the senior officer sees that one of your charges has an issue. You can pick up the phone and contact a social worker who will intervene. You can do that. And the officer of his own free will. And also, if an officer realizes that his colleagues are showing talk for him, he can also come speak to the senior officer who will have conversations with his colleagues. Right? But as I said to you, there is also peer counseling within the police service. All right? So the police service is not just the police service and nobody takes on or does certain things. There is checks and balances. All right?
Okay.
Okay. Right. And don't, but I hope you'll give I hope you, along with the producer, will give me the fair share of my topic.
Yeah,
to pick up.
I mean, this is, you can't ignore this. We have to speak.
I am not ignoring it, Brother B.
Yeah.
So I came here this morning,
all right.
and speaking of it,
yeah, and just quickly,
I didn't say to you, I have no answers to give you.
Right, okay.
I responded.
Yes.
Inspector, so we could start discussing the topic, but there was also a police vehicle that got in some sort of accident by Mount Pleasant.
And I am happy to see that it was shown that the police was not wrong. Did you see the video?
No, I didn't see the video.
So you need to go on on the Facebook in another place, and you will see.
But what exactly happened?
The driver was coming out of a side street by Terry Brown.
Right.
And the driver did not stop
at
the intersection. And the police vehicle, a brand new vehicle, police was going about his business, and you will see that the person just come out and hit the vehicle. And then I want to call out the Department of Works and Infrastructure, because we had those issues in the western side of the area, in the Bonaccord area, in the Canaan area. There is no marking on the road at the end of the street. So you will see they usually have the white square line and mark stop.
Stop, yeah.
All right? Many a times in the dark, when you're coming out on those roadways, if you do not know the road, I don't know if the person know the road or don't. When you reach at that junction at the end, sometimes you ain't even study. You drive out, right? And you realize that you're driving out because it's dark. Right? Even though you have light on your vehicle, there is nothing there. So sometimes you come out and didn't realize you come out onto the. I'm not giving the excuse for the person, but I'm saying, I'm calling out the Department of Works and Infrastructure. Some of these roads have to have this white line, that word mark stop, so persons will realize they reached to the end of the road. However, if you look at the vehicle came out and dead on hit the officer and threw the officer onto the supermarket.
Yeah.
And if you look at the vehicle, as I told the fleet manager, the only thing on that vehicle now is the 2 doors, and the only thing good that's left on the vehicle is the 2 doors and the rear part of the vehicle. All right. So unfortunately, the officer and the other driver would have went to hospital, and I understand that they were discharged. All right. So we're asking persons be careful on the roadway, and a brand new vehicle, because I also sent something to the senior superintendent where a story was written. One of the brand new vehicles in the police service was damaged on so-and-so date. But it wasn't the officer's fault, and we are happy that it was not his fault, so that he would not be blamed for damaging the police vehicle.
I can imagine the ticket that the driver would have received. But
well, the driver didn't receive any ticket. An investigation will be done. And once the investigation goes and the driver is culpable, and you all have seen it, the driver could be charged for careless driving, all right? And then, you have to go between insurances to have the vehicles.
Okay. All right. So
I hope I get my fair share for my topic now.
Well, all right. Well, let's see how best we could do.
We are speaking of graduation. It's close to the end of school term. Persons will be graduating. You would have persons from all sphere of life want the best dress, the best suits to have graduation. They would also want to engage in parties. And the parents, as I said, will be coming from different spheres of life. There are those who would have the money and those who would not have the money. So the children will be putting added pressure onto the parents to have a good graduation. But we want to remind the parents that, and to remind the children that, listen, graduation is not the end of it all. You have to go on. Some go on to schools in other countries and to colleges and so forth. But you have to remember, when you have this graduation, persons want to drink alcohol, they want to engage in using substance like molly, they want to engage in cannabis cookies. So we're asking parents to be vigilant, talk to your children, ensure that they live after graduation. Parents who want to get the best for their children, the best outfit, if you know you cannot make that amount of, get that sort of outfit for that child, let the child know. Put the child sit down. Let the child know, listen, this is the reason I have other things going on, but I can buy you this dress. I cannot buy you the one that you want, right? Have conversations with the children, because they may have conversations with other persons. It may be peer pressure. They may go out there and want to steal. They may go out there and want to take up what doesn't belong to them. So you have to have conversations with your children as it relates to graduation. In the parties, ensure that you drop off the children on time. Don't let them go to the graduation late, because you know you will get a lot of small talk from the colleagues. Mm-hmm. If you're going to the graduation parties, you know you want to make sure that the child is safe. You can sit in your car, and when the graduation party is over, you take the child back home. If you're not taking the child, ensure proper transportation in these parties. If the child is driving, ensure you speak to the child, because there are persons who are 18, and 17, who are graduating. Let the child know, do not consume alcohol in such a way that you cannot control yourself when driving back. When they are going to the parties, ensure that the children are properly dressed. There would have been schools. I remember last year, Harmons would have sent back children back home.
With the hairdo.
Yeah, with the hairdo and the clothes and so forth. So you, as a parent, have to ensure that your children for graduation is well dressed and does not consume any drug or alcohol.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, and you mentioned one of the drugs that, unfortunately,
Molly.
is on the market. In terms of, is the police making headway in terms of detecting these transactions?
Well, sometime in the past, sometime this year or late last year, I remember the SIU would have found, the Special Investigation Unit would have found Molly and would have charged someone. And this Molly, I understand it comes in pretty colors, looking like sweets. Mm-hmm. So you have to be careful.
Wow.
Right?
All right. So, all right, Inspector, we want to thank you very much for being here this morning. And you got all, we got
no,
all...
going to be a short, no,
I give you all the time.
Quite okay. All right?
All right, okay.
So I want to remind persons, if you have any information at all surrounding any reports, we would like you to contact the police. If you don't know the police station number where you are at, just call 211 and they will send the call. If you want monies for your information, you can call 555 or 800 tips.
Excellent.
All right?
All right. Thank you again, and all the best to you and the police.
Thank you.